Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Jets have their coach, and it's the guy that the Saints were targeting. Aaron Glenn, it is official, the new head coach of the Jets. And so when you look at the three hires that have now been made, Mike Vrabel to the Patriots was their first choice. Quite honestly, it's the reason they fired Gerard Mayo. The day Gerard Mayo got fired. So there's only two reasons this happened. One, he did something nefarious. Or two, they know, like, they already have his replacement. And a guy they wanted, obviously, was Vrabel. The Saints never even entertained Ben Johnson. There were never even odds for the Saints to hire Ben Johnson, whom everybody wanted. Why? Because he was going to the Bears. And he was the Bears' first choice, and they got it. The Saints' first choice was Aaron Glenn, but unfortunately for the Saints, he was also the Jets' first choice. And the thing we talked about from jump with this Saints coaching search is, Muse, do you remember this? I had Muse do this exercise where, like, I was a coaching candidate.
Well, yeah, it was like you were Ben Johnson was the thing. I was the agent, and we went through at that point, I think there was only two jobs open. We looked at other ones that could.
Oh, yeah.
Right, like the Jags and the Cowboys was on the list, and things of that nature. Raiders, Bears was on that list at that time, yeah.
So we went through to determine the attractiveness of the openings. And where we landed was the Saints' job was the least attractive of all the openings. You have no franchise quarterback. You have an aging, expensive roster. At the time, they were $70 million over the cap space. They were like $60 million over more than the next closest team that was over, which was, I think, Cleveland. Like, you are the worst situation of all the open jobs. Like, you could say the Raiders, but the Raiders have a better cap situation. They got a better draft pick. Like, better situation when you're checking all those boxes. So naturally, when coaches that are in demand have options, they're going to pick the better option. And that ain't you, which is why you never even you were never even entertained in the Ben Johnson conversation. And like why Aaron Glenn is now the coach of the Jets. You're not attractive. So where do you go from here? What we know is what the Saints are setting up now. Would highly recommend you go follow this all at LouisianaSports.net. Ross Jackson's doing an awesome job covering every bit of this story and keeping everyone up to date throughout. But the Saints have now scheduled in-person interviews with Mike Kafka of the Giants, Anthony Weaver of the Dolphins, and reports are that the Saints are going to interview Mike McCarthy in person next week. If the Saints decide they want to hire Mike McCarthy, I'm going to be okay with that. I know a lot of people are going to recoil, and we've talked about this a little bit here. But my point with McCarthy is I think that the negativity around Mike McCarthy, in large part, is a fan echo chamber. Very high-profile job in Dallas. There's obviously Cowboys fatigue because of the first take-ification of the world where it's Cowboys-Jets all the time. LeBron, Cowboys, Jets. What if LeBron played for the Cowboys or the Jets? Like, blow up the world. I get it. But this is a guy that's won more than 100 games as a head coach. He's made the playoffs 11 times. He's won a Super Bowl. You look at Micah Parsons, who said he was, quote, devastated when McCarthy wasn't retained. Matt Flynn, who played for McCarthy in Green Bay, raved about Mike McCarthy. Like, his resume is super comparable to Sean Payton's, yet we hold Sean Payton in high esteem and regard, we collectively, and we poo-poo McCarthy, who won 12 games each of the 3 years before this year when Dak got hurt. I think maybe the thing with McCarthy is there's a feeling that we know what the ceiling is there. And if you go higher, say a Joe Brady, the unknown could be the kaboom. Could be. But you could have the higher ceiling, lower floor type situation. Whereas McCarthy feels kind of like Derek Carr. Higher floor, lower ceiling. Maybe that's a fair way to say it. But what I will say about McCarthy, if this is the direction the Saints think they want to go, the New Orleans Saints would be doing themselves a massive, massive disservice if they hire Mike McCarthy before interviewing Joe Brady, Cliff Kingsbury. They're not going to interview those guys in person until their seasons are over. And the truth is, Mike McCarthy ain't being hired anywhere else. All the reports are there were two, when McCarthy got let go in Dallas, there were two teams interested, the Saints and the Bears. Well, the Bears have their coach. Bears have their coach. So, if the Bears have their guy, and ain't nobody else lining up to hire Mike McCarthy, there was no reason to rush to this decision. Go through your process. Interview Mike Kafka. Interview Anthony Weaver. See what happens this weekend with the Bills and the Commanders to see if you can then interview Brady and Kingsbury. Gather all the information possible and then make your decision. The singular best example of this conversation is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin got an interview because of the Steelers' Rooney Rule, which is now league-wide. But Tomlin was a defensive coordinator. He got an interview, blew everyone away, got the job, and now he's been one of the greatest and most consistent coaches in the NFL, longest tenured alongside John Harbaugh in Baltimore, won a Super Bowl. He's amazing. And you never would have known that except for they went through the interview process. So go through the interview process. There's no reason to rush a Mike McCarthy decision. You know where he is. You got his number. He's waiting on your call, boo. That's it. Just relax. Like, prom's coming up. There's someone you'd really like to ask, but you know you got your backup plan, your plan B right, just sitting over there waiting for you to call. As rude as that may sound, it's true. Like, you got your yes over here. You got your automatic yes sitting over here. But you want to shoot your shot over here, shoot your shot and see how it goes. McCarthy ain't going nowhere. He'll be thrilled to be your coach. So wait it out and make sure you do your due diligence. For what it's worth, as we look around, there's been a lot of reaction to the Aaron Glenn news and what the fallout may be. So, for example, Jake Asman is a host on 880 ESPN in New York. Yep.
I don't think that's how you say his last name.
Says it right here on the sheet.
No, I think
you wrote the sheet.
I did. I think it's Asman.
It says Jake Asman.
Well,
host 880 ESPN New York.
No,
that's what it says. 21 seconds. Assman won on the Paulie. Does that say Assman won or does that say Assman won?
That says Asman won.
Thank you.
Is it Asman?
You wrote the sheet, Muse.
Yeah.
You hanging me out to dry now?
No, I don't think it's Assman.
Jake Assman, host 880 ESPN New York. Play the clip.
I like Aaron Glenn, but there's this perception that he is like the slam dunk choice for the Jets, and I don't really understand why. What makes Aaron Glenn such a slam
Look at
dunk?
him.
The Jets are going to hire another first-time defensive-minded coach with no previous coaching experience. Like, I don't understand. They just did this with Robert Saleh. And everything we said about Robert Saleh, we're now saying about Aaron Glenn.
Oh, my God. Are you two messing with me?
What do you mean?
You put Jake Assman on the document, and then Paulie puts that picture on the screen? Put
What's
that
wrong
back
with the
up. Put
picture?
that back here, Paulie. Look at. I mean, this guy's name is Jake Assman. Did you do this on AI? Paul, is this AI? Is this a real human?
That's a real human.
I feel like you guys took a couple of days off and went to the loony bin, and you came out here trying to mess with me.
What's wrong
This
with
guy,
him?
This is Jake Assman from 880 in New York. Is 880 in New York even an actual thing?
Yeah, it's a radio station.
I don't know.
It's an ESPN affiliate.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I believe you.
It is. I don't understand your gripe with him. I mean, he's a
I have no
well-groomed man. Like,
I
why-
have
what's
no.
the-
He looks like if Doug, the cartoon, was a ginger. That's what he looks like.
Okay. I mean,
Tell me I'm wrong. And his name is Assman.
again, we don't know that for sure.
We know that in radio world, people have fake names all the time when you got a bad name.
Okay, that's true.
You come up with a fake name. Jimmy Brooks on 100.7 The Tiger. His name is Jimmy Laverne. He goes by Jimmy Brooks. Scotty Mack.
Yeah.
Cecil Carwile goes by Scotty Mack.
That's much better.
You know what I mean? Like, it happens all the time.
So you think this guy changed his name to Osman or Asman, as you like to say?
No, I think that's
You think that's his real name?
his name.
Okay.
Why would you change your name to that?
Well, maybe
I'm
he was
saying
looking
if
for a
that's
cool name.
no, I'm saying if that's your name, you call yourself like Jake Jacobs. Some alliteration.
Sure.
Wow.
He embraces it. I mean, go for it, man.
He embraces what?
His last name,
What's his last name?
Osman. Asman.
I'm sorry. That is an A, not an not.
That is an A.
You're trying to say like it's Donny Osmond, which is not what
That's
you wrote
different.
here.
That
is not what you wrote here.
Osmond. This would be Osman. Right?
M-A-N, not Mon. M-A-N. How do you say M-A-N, Muse?
Man.
Thank you.
But you know this as well as anybody, Matt. When you put things together with other letters, you can change the pronunciation of words.
Like ass man.
Potentially.
I don't even know what he just talked about. He was saying Glenn is a retread of Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
This segment just got completely derailed. Not even mad at it. My only point is simply this. You didn't get your number one choice because you're not a desirable job. The guy who might be at the top of your list now is going to be available whenever you want him. So don't rush this. Do all of your interviews and hire the best person. And if the best person is Mike McCarthy, okay. But he might not be. So don't rush it. And oh, by the way, if you missed it while we were out, Alvin Kamara went on Twitter and declared his choice for the Saints head coaching job. And he said, my vote for head coach, but he doesn't get a vote because this is not an NFL-ocracy. It's an NFL-tatorship. My vote for head coach rhyme with fizzy, telling you Alvin Kamara, wants the Saints to hire Fair and Fizzy or Darren Rizzi. And and to be perfectly honest with you, I am leaning more toward my preference being without an obvious choice. Go for a 1-year stopgap like the Raiders just did. You want to really embrace the rebuild? Retain Rizzi for 1 year. Let all these old veteran contracts start to purge. Go into the cellar. Get your cap closer to in order. Secure yourself a top 5 pick. And next year, when you have a chance to draft Arch Manning or Garrett Nussmeier, one of the quarterbacks in next year's draft class, which looks like it's going to be a really good draft class, then you bring in your actual number one choice when you have a much more attractive situation offer. Not opposed to it. You got options. What you don't want to do is rush to the podium the guy that's going to be there whenever you're ready. Whenever you call. He is sitting by the phone waiting. So take your time and do it right. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.